slams into its chest, the electricity crackling over Astarian's head. Astarian barely notices. A glint of gold in the air to the left, and a flurry of silver and brass spinning away to the right. Below, the yawning chasm and endless darkness. When Gale eventually did propose, it hadn't been with a ring, but with magic. An otherworldly display of fantastical splendor, much like their first real night together. When Gale had held back the shadow curse to confess his love under an aurora. By the way, did anyone get to see the auroras last night? We got some good pictures. It had been almost pompously excessive and utterly breathtaking, enchanting, much like Gale himself. There was a Waterdavian wedding custom in which the betrothed pair each bring a ring of their choice to a smith, who cuts them in half. The smith then takes the non-matching halves and forges them together to create two matching, fused rings. By the way, this is not the first time I've heard this, so this has to be actual lore from Waterdeep. And I want to research it because I've heard this reference multiple times. Gale had brought an elegant silver band adorned with intricate etched scrollwork and impossibly fine lines of pearl inlay. It was a family heirloom given to him by his father and worn on many Dicarios' hands before that. It looked expensive, and Gale told him that it was of elven make. Unsurprising, and that it had come into the family on the hand of a different high elf who'd married a different Dicarios generations ago. It was fitting, Gale said, that its end journey through the family was on another elven hand. Astarian didn't have any heirlooms, or anything of his own, really. Only things he picked up on their travels, and most of those had been sold for supplies or weapons or magic scrolls. He'd brought a tarnished brass ring, dented from more than a month bumping around the bottom of his pack. It had been a ring of color spray once. It had also been the first magical artifact Astarian had given to Gale to sate the orb's hunger. With the magic absorbed so long ago, the metal looked dull. The flimsy amethyst had fallen out of the setting when the magic had, disappearing somewhere into the reedy waters of their campsite. But after Gale had walked away, relieved and grateful, Astarian had spotted the ring laying in the dirt and had pocketed it. He wasn't even sure why at the time, but every time he'd come across it while rifling through his pack, he'd look at it for a moment and decided again to hold on to it. Right. He felt rather ashamed to set the battered brass down on the smith's counter next to the shining silver one, but when he had explained to Gale where he'd gotten it, the wizard had been struck speechless. A first, Astarian had teased. That evening, reclining in their favorite seat on the balcony overlooking the water, Gale had wrapped his arms around Astarian. "After all this time, you still surprise me," he'd murmured, laying a gentle kiss on Astarian's hair and ears. "You're a sentimental thing under all that debauchery and incisiveness. Sometimes I manage to forget." "Don't tell anyone, darling. I have a reputation to protect." The next day, when they'd returned to the smith, they collected two identical bands of endearing incongruity. Astarian took the one size for Gale's finger and inspected it closely. A thin circle of brass and another of silver and pearl, laid alongside each other with a join so tight he couldn't feel it under his fingertip. He'd been worried that the delicate engraving or the fragile lines of pearl would be marred by the smith's stretching and hammering of the metal, but it was apparent that the smith's work had more to do with magic than brute force. The brass had been smoothed and polished until it shone just like the silver. It suited them, Astarian thought, one half ornate, delicate, and expertly crafted, with more beauty to notice the longer one examined it. The other half simple, snatched from the nest of a beast, discarded, damaged, but now made bright and new again in its union with the other. They'd both worn each other's rings on fine chains around their neck until the wedding day, when they'd placed them on each other's middle fingers and given their vows. When the last of their formal words had been spoken, they had brought their left hands together between them, palms together, so that the rings clinked. The sound, magically amplified, was the signal for the celebration to begin. Also seems to be canon that instead of, like, you may kiss the bride, the end of the ceremony is the hands coming together, and the sound of the clinking of the rings together is what starts off the celebration. The guests had cheered and applauded. Music had burst from the troupe of bards, and Astarion had kissed his husband. He spent the rest of the evening floating between friends in a daze. He'd never dared to imagine a future like this, one full of life and sunlight, happiness, and people he could love and keep safe. And at the center of it, a person who was his, and who he belonged to just as much, in a way that had nothing to do with possession. In the fraction of a heartbeat that it takes Astarion to lunge forward, the distance between two tiny circles of metal had stretched to several feet. The hook horror's smoking corpse arcs down towards the cavernous dark. Astarion was hunched over a bowl of water, scrubbing at the brass and silver ring with a toothbrush. The gold one lay on a cloth on the table next to him. Its ruby glinted as it dried. Gale had stepped up behind him and laid a hand on his shoulder, pressing a soft kiss to his white curls. Astarion grumbled. When you chose such a fussy ring for our wedding, I bet you didn't give a single thought to how difficult it would be to scrub mimic blood out of all these tiny little grooves. Gale had laughed, smoothing the back of Astarion's hair affectionately. I admit I did not. Appallingly inconsiderate of me. Well, I hope you'll be more thoughtful with the next trinkets you lavish on me, darling. If we're going to be keeping up our hobby of monster slaying and treasure seeking, I'm going to need to find a soap that I'm certain won't tarnish these. In the months since their wedding, there had been several messy adventures, some with an old companion or two, some only with each other. The quiet life was nice, but it did them both good to get out and kill things occasionally. Loosened up the joints. You know, neither of them confer any magical effects that you need for combat. Unless we're out in the sun, you should keep them in a pocket. Astarion's mouth had twisted at that. He knew how easily a small object could bounce out of a pocket in the chaos of battle. He would need something more secure. From a small bureau drawer, he took out the chain that had held Gale's wedding ring in that final weeks of their betrothal. Once the rings were both clean and dry, he threaded them both onto the chain and fastened it around his neck. He didn't relish taking them off. His fingers felt unsettlingly naked without them. But this was better than spending another evening trying to rid them of whatever viscera he'd soaked his daggers in that day. He tucked them inside his doublet and patted them softly. Astarion's hand snaps closed around the ring at the same moment Gale jerks him backwards by his collar. As he thumps into the wizard and they fall to the ground together, he hears a tiny clink of metal against stone somewhere far below him. Then another, much quieter. His fist is closed so tightly it hurts. The ring digs into his palm. What's under the Underdark? How far down does it go? Astarion isn't breathing. He can't even think. He stares into the suffocating blackness of the chasm. The silence presses in on his ears. Gale extricates himself from the tangle they've fallen in and kneels beside Astarion. He heals the small cut on his collarbone with a flick of his hand and gives silent thanks for Shadowheart's tutelage. His eyes fall to the snapped chain dangling from the collar of Astarion's leather armor. He looks at Astarion, then into the darkness where the hook horror disappeared. Astarion meets his eyes when he looks back, and devastation painted all over his face. I couldn't grab them both. There wasn't time. I couldn't. Starian's words are cut off as his throat catches. He's shaking. He stares into the chasm again, looking dangerously like he's considering diving in after the ring. Gale gathers him into his arms, pulling him in close. By the way, I forgot. Well, I owe you an Astarian hug. And this is the perfect time for it. Alright. Here we go. It's alright, my love. It doesn't matter. He runs a hand up and down Astarian's back as he bursts into quiet sobbing. Astarian presses his face into Gale's chest, tears soaked into the fabric of his robes. Of course it matters, he rasps between sobs. It's not like we can just rustle up another one. It doesn't matter, Gale repeats more firmly. He squeezes Astarian tighter. It's only a ring, just a trinket. You're all right, that's all I care about. He strokes Astarian's hair and makes soft shushing sound as he steadies his own breathing. A trinket that can hold back the power of the blasted sun. Gale stills. He pulls back, holding Astarian gently by the shoulders. He frowns into his face, tears streaked and blotchy. He looks down at Astarian's clenched hand. Astarian opens his fist weakly. Silver and brass. Tiny slivers of pearl glimmering in the dim light. Gale stares dumb.
You're all on a date?
Yeah, we're her boyfriends. We are reverse Mormons. One man just isn't enough for her.
Gale stares, dumbfounded. Did you mean to save? Astarian's eyes flashed upwards to meet Gale's. When he speaks, it's nearly a shout. Sweet hells, of course I did! You think I was gonna let this disappear into the dark? But it's just... Gale's voice feels like it's coming slowly. Just sentimental. I'm sorry, I'm not admonishing you, but the Sunwalker can be replaced. Astarian's voice is firm, his body still. This cannot be. Gale stares into his husband's eyes. There was a sudden fire behind that red, as bright as ever the Sunwalker's ruby was. You bloody fool, he says with a soft laugh. You thrice-damned, ridiculous, soft-hearted fool. How I love you. He thumbs away the last tears from Astarian's cheeks and kisses him. The end. He's so sweet. Oh, that was good, right? Covers face and screams, right? Core, hi, honey. How are you today? Don't worry about interrupting at all. I wanted to stop and let the sound go by. But how are you, my friend? I'm glad you're here because the next short story I picked out is Polly Fluff. It's better than that. It's an Astarian pillow, but wait. It's also a Gale pillow. Hee hee. Get you a pillow that can do both. Amazing, right? And that's not it. That's not it. Oh, don't tell me it's out of reach now. Nope, there it is. It's Tara! And she's so soft and fluffy. So yeah, I have hug redemptions for all of them. It is a bi pillow. It can do both. Yes. Yep. Alright, y'all. It is 1 o'clock. I said I was gonna read the difference, but since Core is here, I'm gonna pivot just a little bit. I'm gonna do Core's reading first, so I make sure that they can hear it. Then I will take a break and make myself some tea. and grab the book, and we will do more reading. I wanted to read 2 before that story anyway, so this actually works better. Okay, red. Pivot! Pivot! By the way, I am going to put these in the Discord when I'm done with stream. If I forget, somebody let me know. I'm going to leave them up in a tab so I don't forget. Okay. Alright, this one is called Hold You Close and Let You Lie. This is an Astarion Tav Halsin situation. The tags are gentleness, fluff, huddling for warmth, sharing a bed, non-sexual intimacy, drabble, and no beta, we die like men. Alright. My other favorite pairing, I know. While I'm sure I'm terribly flattered, that wasn't an invitation to rut. Halsin cut Astarion off, watching his lips purse as he seemed to try to decide whether or not he should be offended, or perhaps play act at being offended. It was one of those bitter autumn evenings, the cold biting to the bone when the wind picked up. Their camp had been built in the lee of a ruined wall, but that only helped so much. Astarion stood in the entrance of Tav's tent. He hadn't anticipated finding the druid there, it seemed. Tav sleeping soundly at his side. He'd invited the other man to stay. The no beta, we die like men. You usually have someone do a beta read of your fanfic before you post it, so someone reading through it, helping to edit and all that. So when people say it's basically not proofread. You didn't have someone else read it. No beta. We die like men. Yeah, beta read joke. Yep. It's cold. Come and be warm. Halsin moved the arm that wasn't wrapped around Tav, highlighting the space beside him where Astarion could lay if he wanted to. Halsin watched his gaze flick from the spot at his side to Tav's face. Her head pillowed on Halsin's chest. She'd been sleeping for the better part of an hour, exhausted from a hard hike up the mountain pass. He and Astarion hadn't really spoken much since the understanding Tav had established between them. Halsin hadn't been lying when he said he'd hoped one day Astarion might want to join them when they were together. He was beautiful. He was also particularly prickly. What, in a pile? Like puppies? Astarion said with a tone of faint disdain Halsin had never heard anyone use over the word puppies before. Tav had almost been as protective of Astarion's privacy as the man himself was, but it didn't take great insight to see that he was a creature who craved comfort, safety. He'd clearly had precious little of either in his past. Tav had curated space for him for that. He reminded Halsin of so many wild creatures he'd encountered in the woods, tormented by humanoids and turned vicious because of it. The spawn was quick to lash out at what he didn't want, a cat clawing at careless interference. The fact that he hadn't yet left told him that he wasn't completely put off by the idea. Halsin watched him hesitate. Trust was earned, he reminded himself. The furs are soft, the linen's clean, he said with a low rumble. And she says I put off heat like a devil, but you don't have to if you don't want to. It was an offer. Something about the way he'd phrased it seemed to move the spawn, but Halsin couldn't quite pinpoint what. Astarion's approach was one of graceful caution, crossing the tent to the pile of blankets that made up Tav's bedroll. The chill wind outside picked up. Halsin suspected that the reason he'd come to Tav's space at all was to find a remedy for it. Must have been difficult, not being able to self-regulate like a living creature. This is only because it's colder than a patriarch's tit out there, Astarion said in a cool self-justification as he knelt down, his red eyes flicking back to Tav, almost as if he was using her as some kind of weather gauge, or whether or not it was a good idea. She sighed softly in her sleep. Halsin nodded his head as if in agreement, lifting his arm again to create a wider space for Astarion to sit down. The Spawn pulled the blankets over his legs fussily. This is not the vibe for this story. There we go. Yeah, piling up like puppies. It took a moment for the heat trapped beneath to reach him, but when it did, Astarion reacted like a cat before a hearth, suddenly scooting closer. Halsin didn't flinch when he felt exactly how cold the Spawn's skin was against his, even through his shirt. "You don't smell quite as bad as I expected," Astarion said after a moment. "You're lucky to have caught me so soon after my yearly bath," Halsin answered dryly, watching the Spawn try to suppress an amused snort. "You take them so often." "A concession to vanity on my part." He was careful to... Oh, look, the man himself. He was careful to keep his arm curved away from Astarion's side to avoid creating the impression he was trying to trap him there. His other arm was firmly wrapped around Tav's waist, keeping her nestled against him. All of his needs were met. The bear in him practically rumbled with satisfaction. It didn't take long for Astarion's temperature to equalize. He relaxed by degrees until finally his eyes closed in reverie. Tav lifted her head slowly, peered across Halsin's chest at Astarion with a soft smile before her gaze lifted to the druids. There was something like pride and affection in her glance before she settled silently back down again to sleep, gently patting Halsin's chest. The wind picked up and the leaves in the trees rattled, nature playing a lullaby into the dark. And here's your polyamory fluff. Yeah, I'm going to post both of here, I'm just going to do it now. I'm going to post these in the suitable for work book channels so that you guys can favorite them if you would like. This one again was called Hold You Close and Let You Lie. And I'm going to say from today's streams. I'm actually going to put these in order that I read them. So this one is the polyamory.
You gotta stop being so thirsty.
Core, goodness. Core, how are you today? How are you feeling? How's the family feeling? Everybody doing okay? Are you bouncing back? And this one is called You Don't Have the Mumps. Oh, good. Oh, good. This one is gold, silver, and brass. This is a blood weave fluff. There we go. Alright, those two are in there. I will edit that message with the other ones that I read after. So, I'm going to take a quick BRB. Swelling is gone. Good! I'm going to take a quick BRB, maybe 5 minutes. I'll run some ads if I can to disable the pre-roll. I am going to make myself a cup of tea for my voice. Either a leftover infection from the head cold or just allergies being dumb. Gotcha. Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. You've been going through it lately. I will grab the book, The Difference, and we will do some more reading, and then we'll do some more reading after that. So, good time to get a snack, you guys. Make sure you're taking your medication. Get some food, get some water, stretch, walk around, let your eyes leave the screen for a little bit, and I will see you in a few.
Careful, I honk.
Hello everybody, welcome back, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that break. Sorry I took a little longer. I went up to check on little miss, our big chonky 9-year-old house panther who's been dealing with the lumps on the arm and the biopsy and stuff. All that. Doing later tonight? Nothing. I'm not doing a thing. I was gonna hang out in your stream. Then grab the cleaning crew for it. Yeah, if that works out for tonight, I'm down. I already have the DLC. I've just been waiting on the word. So let me know what happens. And Diz, I hope you're having a good day. And if not, I hope it gets better. Paula, here is your Gale hug. The Astarian one was when we were hugging the pillow. Well, here we go. Here's the Gale hug. Handsome magic astral wizard man. But yes, the difference that I'm going to start reading here in a few minutes is this book by a fanfic writer that I found on Tumblr and AO3, Senua Lothbrok. And this is unofficial, so obviously, you know, she can't sell this. She can't earn money for it because it's property of Larian and Wizards of the Coast and all that kind of stuff. But she did have her story printed, and I donated money to her Ko-Fi, and she just so happened to send me one. That's how that worked. She even wrote a little message in here for me. Thank you so much for your support. A little autograph. So here is Gale on the front with the orb tattoo, some blurred out trees, I think, and then on the back is her tab, and I don't know if that's the London Eye in the background there, but this is very much an alternate universe, isekai type situation. I forget what isekai actually means. But here's the summary for those who don't know. 2024, England. When a portal appears in your living room and Gale Decarios tumbles out of it, you think you're going insane. But truth is stranger than fiction, and things are rarely what they seem. A story of love and its complications, the boundaries between reality and fiction, and the cages we build for ourselves. So that's the story we're going to read. It's going to take place over multiple weeks because it is like...
Will you get your head out of the clouds and back in the water where it belongs?
I think it's like 15, 16 chapters. I can't remember. There we go. There's our Gale hug. Mwah. Thank you for that. So we're going to put him right here. If anybody sees this lean over and start to catch on fire, please honk at me. Hello, Gale husband. Alright, so Cord, did you hear that explanation? My Gale mug is in the dishwasher at the moment, but I do have my Daddy Halson, they call me, mug that proudly proclaims on the other side, I climbed Mount Halson. I may have gone a little feral on Etsy. By the way, in case you guys didn't notice behind me, I finally got my From Faye speaker. Hannah, are you watching? Did you see this? The Gale package for the month at a certain Patreon tier level. So this is the picture of Gale with Tara over his shoulders, looking like a big Maine Coon with wings. Gorgeous. And then I'm on my last Gale candle from the Animacy store. I need to order some more. I need to see if they ever did test out the wax melts, if they're going to release those. But I just lit that today. There's the bracelet that Hannah got me. Or not Hannah. I was thinking Umberglue and I said Hannah. Why? Umberglue got me that. Umberglue, are you back from the dogs? Also, I didn't know that the throat coat tea bags have little sayings on each one of them. You're here now? Hello, here now. This one says, friendship is a sheltering tree. Aww. This is very, very hot. I could remedy that and send you a bracelet too. I wouldn't say no. Core, did I buy one from you yet? I don't think I did, and I don't know if you even agreed that you would do it. If I paid shipping. Oh, that's very hot. Hot, hot, hot. Okay. Halson is also a sheltering tree. Alright, this book does get into smut eventually, but I forget where it is, but I know it won't be today for as much as I'm going to read. So we'll see how far we get today. I do want to do some Palia, and I want to read another couple of stories. But that'll probably be what we do. I may skip the drawing today and do more next week. But there's a lot in October that I want to try to fit in. So that's a lot of it. Sorry, I just want to see what something is for. Oh no. Oh, that's awful. Sorry, one sec. Is that someone, Cassie, in Nana's, No, that's okay, Cassie. I'm glad you said something. Is this, somebody in Nana's community? Yeah, and does too. Okay. I'm gonna post this in chat because I know that I don't think I've ever seen them here. But y'all, I'm just gonna post this GoFundMe link with no context in case they do, like, glance by, which I've never seen them in here. But that is someone in Diz's and Mrs. Nana's communities that lost, I don't know how old she is. She looks younger than me. Lost her husband very suddenly and unexpectedly. And yeah. So if you wanna reach out and show some love and help raise money for a friend of the community, Mrs. Nana is organizing it, if that makes you feel any better. There you go. Click that thing and show some love. Thank you, Cassie. No, don't apologize. I appreciate knowing stuff like that, because you know us. We all help each other. We're all just humans trying to get through life, and we're all here to lean on each other, right? And hold each other up. Even if you don't know the person. And Cassie, I know they're not in my Discord. Feel free to post that in the Charity Opportunities channel, and if you want to leave a little description, then people who aren't in stream can see it too. Thank you, Cassie. Alright, so we're all just squirrels trying to get a nut, so move your butt. That reminds me, Diz, one of my motivational posters that I'm gonna make from the Baldur's Gate animals is the squirrel, Corinna the squirrel, the one that you can kick in the beginning. Don't kick the squirrel. We have an emote for that. Which I keep meaning to redo. But it's the squirrel, and it's gonna say, when life gives you nuts, make peanut butter. That's the motivational poster with the squirrel. Okay. There's not an index of chapters. So, you want to know what's really cool? This book is called The Difference. There's a quote on the inside of the first page, inside the orb. And a lot of you are going to know this. And for all you know, this could be the difference between what you need and what you want to be. Does anyone know where that's from? And for all you know, this could be the difference between what you need and what you want to be. Sounds so familiar. Anyone got it? Diz, you might got this. And for all you know, this could be the difference between what you need and what you want to be. It's Matchbox 20. All right, we got 2 minutes until ads. I'm going to read a little bit, and then I'll stop during the ads. I meant to run them while I was on break. I'm so sorry. But yeah, Matchbox 20. Yeah, I got to go look at the song. All right, Chapter 1. Fitting picture for this. It's a struggle to open your eyes. You can tell from the light breaking through the curtains that it is late. The space beside you is empty. A few strands of Caden's blonde hair pepper the pillowcase. You roll away onto your other side. Feels like an eternity before you can muster the strength to sit up. The morning is halfway gone, and you are grateful. Your eyes are still swollen, your head throbbing. It is a relief that Caden has already left for his mother's. It's a relief that you will be alone, without the weight of the silence between you, the spite that you throw at each other, as though you are prisoners trapped under a roof, as though you are enemies, not husband and wife. You do not know when he will return. You check your phone. No text, no goodbye. No reassurance that his train is on time, that he's on his way to Manchester. Only another text from your father, more thinly veiled mock concern. You turn your phone over and collapse back into the fortress of your blanket. It is better, you think, to be alone. You've been through this before, and you know the drill well. You follow the list you've made for days when life is nothing more than survival. You stand in the shower like a ghost, untangling your hair. You have no appetite, but you swallow down crackers anyway. The milk in the fridge is off. Neither you nor Caden were in the right mind to replace it. So you throw down a mug of black coffee, so bitter and unpleasant that it makes you flinch. You take a double dose of your meds because you're skating on the edge of the precipice. You felt it for months, sucking you in like a black hole. You've gritted your teeth and it has grown larger with every fight, every withdrawal. It would be so easy to slip back into it. It is the weekend. Work does not compel you. Caden is gone. You could curl up in bed, whiling away the hours, pretending there's nothing else but the darkness underneath the sheets. No one would know. You suspect no one would care. But you trudge on, staring over the edge. You tell yourself you must. We'll continue after the ad break. See, how's the volume? Music okay with the reading? And guys, this is a great time to remind everybody that we are raising money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Mental health is a real thing. And that's one of the things that the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention does. They go into schools and they present programs that reminds teenagers that mental health is a legitimate thing that exists and needs to be paid attention to, and there is help. They are not alone. If they are dealing with depression, anxiety, suicidal ideations, they are not alone. There is help. It's more common than they think. And there is a lot of support that can be found. So that's one of the things that we're raising money for, is to get those programs out there, to get the conversation more widely acceptable in every day so that people know. I just had a total moment of brain fog. I'm so sorry. But they have workshops that they will do in workplaces, in schools. They'll go on, they'll do these big walks to encourage people to talk away the dark, talk to each other about things. There is the 988 hotline number that you can call 24/7, 365. You can text. Twitch also, I put it on a timer, but you can do, can someone please do !help? Because Twitch also just launched a new resource called the Crisis Prevention. And it's a website that you can go to, and you can change some filters based on where you are in the world, what language you might need. It's available in 11 languages, and it's a full international resource that will get you the hotline numbers and resources you need if you are in crisis anywhere in the world. And I think that's a really good resource. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in chat just so people can see what that's like. So if anyone ever needs that, please don't feel ashamed to utilize it. It's there for free for anyone who finds themselves in that situation. All it takes is one change of events, one incident, and any of us can find ourselves in a position needing that kind of help. So it's nothing to be ashamed of. People are there for you. If you want to donate to help make these resources available on a wider scale and to keep the people who are working on it going and provide more materials, you can do !donate. You can click on the link that's pinned in chat, and you can use the QR codes to scan and donate. There's all the incentives and the goals we're going for. It's going to be up all month long. Welcome back from the ads. Thank you for sitting through those. We're going to keep going on ahead. Way too easily affected by sad things, even if they get better. I am the same way. There's a lot of shows and stories and stuff that I avoid, so I completely get it. I will say this is a very heartwarming book. We are actually the same person. I'm convinced. I've never seen both of us in the same room at the same time. Wonderful campaign. Yeah, and they approached me. The Streamers Against Suicide team reached out to me first months ago. So I was very thankful to be asked about that. Okay, this is heavy. It does talk about a woman who is in a rough relationship, but it definitely, I think personally, is worth sticking through it if you can stick through it. But above all else, I want you all to protect your mental health. If you are in a bad place, if you don't think you can handle the angst part, go do your own thing, come back later and you know, join us for Palea or listen in on a different day. I can give you the highlights of what you missed without the angst, but I encourage people to stick with it because I don't think I could read anything that gets too angsty. I'm just gonna throw that out there. All right. The kitchen is strangely uncluttered, and you wonder if Caden woke up early to clean it. A gesture of apology? A release of nervous energy? You have no way of finding out. You know he will be silent now, or virtually silent. It's his way. The cat flap swings and Tara appears at your feet, purring as she rubs herself against your calf. You crouch down to nuzzle her head with your fingers. She follows you wide-eyed and watches, grizzling as you fill her food bowl. You watch her lapping at the bowl with chirps of happiness. You try to feel grateful for the love that you still have. She's a flurry of ginger pattering behind you as you drift towards the sofa. She nestles into your lap as you sink down. She kneads into you, purring so loudly that her whole body trembles, and you cannot help but smile. You think about your list, what motions you need to go through next. Enjoyment, you think. Engagement. So you turn on your PlayStation. It gives you a futile sense of joy, an illusion of comfort. You can escape from your life, which is unraveling before your very eyes, from the choices you've made and the burdens you carry because of them. You can pretend that you are respected and loved, that your life has a purpose, that you make the world better by being in it. You're loading up Baldur's Gate 3 when you see it. You rub hard at your eyes. Surely it's a blip in your vision. There's a black swirl on the wall on the other end of the living room. The more you look at it, the more it grows. It expands like quicksand, crackling with purple flashes as it spreads. It does not disappear, even as you blink and squint. It's sputtering now, getting louder and louder, like you're standing between two moving trains. You sit and stare at it until you can't wait any longer. Tara leaps off your lap as you jump up and move slowly towards it. You're holding your breath, not sure what to do, what to feel. Then there's a roiling inside you, a sudden wave of nausea that makes you stumble. It surges through you like a jolt of heat, rising up from your chest, up your neck, burrowing into your temples. Images flood your mind, a cacophony of grays and browns and purples, but you cannot understand their meaning. A symphony of murmured voices, words, and warnings that you cannot make out. The cascade within you swells and twists, then it snaps, and you fall onto your knees with a cry. You think you see something fleshy reaching out of the whirlwind on the wall. An arm, hand, fingers, the curve of a violet sleeve. Crippling confusion takes hold of you. You've seen this before. Many times, in many playthroughs. A familiar portal, a familiar figure. Is this a dream? A nightmare? Have you finally lost your mind? You're terrified. You do not move or speak as he tumbles out of the portal in an indigo rush, flying into your dining table. There's a crash as it collides into your shelf, knocking a vase off and a sculpture which shatter on the floor. Tara gives a piercing yowl and flees. He lies motionless for a moment, twitching and groaning. As he rises, you take in the disheveled waves of his dark hair and shadows of his deep-set brow. His earth-brown eyes, blazing with shock, the glint of an earring, and the faint lines which trail from below his left eye down to his chest, the unmistakable circle etched on his skin. You cannot breathe. He spins around, his eyes flitting around him in a frenzy. You can make out incoherent mutterings as he clutches around him, searching for an anchor. He staggers as if in a stupor. Then he turns. His gaze lands on you. It flickers with recognition. His face softens with light. He speaks with a voice you've heard 1,000 times before. Tav? You gasp. The world crumbles around you. Then all is dark. Well, that escalated quickly. We're not even out of chapter 1 yet, friends. By the way, guys, like I said, feel free to keep fishing. Feel free to chat. Just because I'm reading don't feel like you gotta not fire things off or all of that kind of stuff. Do whatever you'd like. It is his smell that wakes you. It is as you have imagined so many times before. Bonfires and sandalwood, leather and old paper, a faint whiff of soap. You've read about it, fantasized about it so often that the scent is like a memory. Don't know what I'm doing. You don't have to do anything. All you do is !fish. And the special fish this week are Bazel and Karlak. So if you get either one of those two and I don't notice it, let me know, because I have to manually assign the gold stars. So if you ever get Bazel or regular Karlak, not Mama K, regular Karlak, let me know. Also, guys, next week, I'm going to start changing a lot more things over to Halloween stuff, and I'm going to add some Halloween themes to the lake, like Jack Skellington and maybe one of the witches from Hocus Pocus and a whole bunch of that kind of stuff, and those are going to be permanent, automatic gold star winners for the rest of the month. So Halloween themed stuff If anybody catches them this month, automatic gold star. So, just FYI, I'm going to start that on Monday. Okay, moving on. Excuse me. You open your eyes and he's looming over you. Your neck aches from where you hit the floor. You realize that you've fainted. His hand is cradling your head. A frown etched on his face as he kneels beside you. His gaze is tender with worry. You can feel the warmth of his body. So lean, so real. He's so close you could reach out and touch him. You know, deep in your gut, that this is not a dream. You spring up and scramble backwards until you're at the furthermost corner of the room. His face spasms in surprise. He makes towards you. You reach for the hammer that Caden has stashed under the sofa. He'd always thought that Caden was paranoid, overly cynical, seeking after threats that were not there. He'd always dismissed you. Once a soldier, always a soldier, he'd said, not without pride. Now you're relieved, so relieved, by the weapons your husband's concealed in choice places around your home. Who the fuck are you? You hold the hammer out in front of you, a pointless gesture given how frantically it shakes in your hand. What the hell are you doing in my house? There's a hurt on his face as he struggles to his feet. He winces, and you can almost swear you hear the crack of his knees. Tav. He holds his hands up in front of him, takes a cautious step forward like he's walking on cracked ice. Alright, that was not the vibe. Neither is that. There we go. He takes a cautious step forward. He's walking on cracked ice. It's me. Don't fucking move. You wave the hammer at him. I'll call the police. I don't know how you got in here and why you look... You're stammering. Tears coming to your eyes, and you're not sure why. He sucks in a shaky breath. Tav, please. Stop calling me that! He flinches. Your mind is ablaze. Is this how it feels to go insane? I don't know how the fuck you got my information, how you knew about... why you're the spitting image of anguish, plain and pure, twisting on those features. His beauty, so stark and bright against the empty magnolia of your living room. This man, this fiction, standing in your reality. You cannot process it. You fight the urge to throw up. Is this some kind of sick joke? You choke. Did someone put you up to this? Are you a character model? Some kind of cosplayer? He quails, reaching out to you. I don't know what those words mean, Tav. My name is Mia! You screech. He stares at you for a long time, paralyzed by the silence of his stranger, who is not a stranger. He's considering, searching for a solution. Behind his hard focus, there's a desperation. You grip the hammer harder. You know me. His voice drops almost to a whisper. You recognize me, don't you? You're shaking your head, tears running down your face. The tears of a madwoman, half deranged. Life has finally broken you. Your mind is gone, and this man is the consequence. Whoever you are, you need to get the fuck out of my house. He continues as though he does not hear you. You know me, just as I know you. Your form is different, but I would recognize you anywhere. In any universe, in any realm, on any plane. Your breath hitches. Questions and explanations rage through your mind. Is he a con artist? A delusion? A thief that's broken into your house in the midst of your psychotic break? But his brown eyes are shimmering, gentle as his embrace. You felt them before. They've held you through pain and loneliness, through time and space, through the veil between fiction and reality. And though it's insanity, you cannot fight the knowledge that he really, truly is here. The culmination of your longing. The man who steals your soul. Now flesh and blood before you. Can you not feel the thread between us? The link that brought me here? The words shake as he utters them, quivering with sincerity, fluttering with love. You're my wife, Mia. Cascade that blazes through you again. No words or thoughts can capture its nature. You feel it flow between you like a tide. The hammer falls to the floor. Gale. His smile is an explosion of relief and love, but all you can do is cry. I didn't give permission for any vocals. You stand there for a while, trying to catch your breath. Each time he makes towards you, you hold him back. His features are a mass of pain and confusion. You can see how your every movement hurts him. But this is too much. You don't understand what this is. My love, please. You wrench your eyes closed, then open them again. He's still there, still watching you. The manifestation of perfection, the stuff of your dreams. You balk. Please, Gale. Even saying his name is an admission that terrifies you. Please, give me a moment. You have to find your center. You have to find something normal, mundane, something to ground you, so you know you're still real, that your mind is still yours. You're crouching now, picking up shards of glass and pottery with your trembling hands. You're straightening the shelf, moving the dining table back to its place, placing the chairs back where they belong. You're not looking at him as he joins you, following your lead, waiting. And when it's over, your heart does not ache to breathe. You stand and look at him. He returns your gaze with a warmth that's so intense you have to look away. You suddenly feel very exposed in your camisole and leggings, with your wet hair dripping over your shoulders and chest. Would you like a drink? You manage. Spotify. Spotify. And this is a 18-hour playlist of DMCA-free fantasy music. Your hands are still shaking as you try to make tea. Water sloshes around the mugs as you pour. Gale is staring at the electric kettle in your hand, his eyes darting around at the fridge, at the oven, the hob. You can feel his urge to examine every object, open every shelf, to understand its nature. He brims with questions. He's remarkably calm, and you wonder if this is partly because he can see that you are breaking. He takes the mug from your trembling hand as you pass it to him. His fingers brush against yours and your stomach flutters. You turn away. I would offer you wine, but I'm afraid we don't have any. Caden had been sober for 2 months, and you've never been fond of drink. It's been a small mercy to have no booze in the house. Gale sips at his tea, tilting his head to the side in appraisal. There's no milk, but you do not know if that matters for a Waterdavian. You cannot tell if he likes the taste. That's just as well, he gives a little huff of a laugh. As much as I'd welcome something to take the edge off this baffling situation, it's best that we keep our minds sharp. You grimace. I think it's a bit late for that. He frowns, studying you again. You think you've lost your mind, don't you? This conversation is unbearably surreal. You try to steady your hands. It's becoming difficult. You don't think this is real. You don't believe I'm truly here. Gale. Your voice is so thin that you don't recognize it. I don't know what to believe. His distress becoming clearer, and it's Distress is becoming clearer, and it's beginning to hurt you. In the haze of your shock and disbelief, you're becoming aware of his longing, his disappointment. You'd never wish to hurt him, whether real or not. You have to understand. You clear your throat, which I actually have to do. Here, in this universe, you aren't... His jaw tightens. I'm not real. You nod reluctantly. You cannot bring yourself to answer the question that follows. You're overjoyed when he does not ask it. Perhaps he's not ready for the answer. It's clear that we're no longer in Faerun, or on Toril for that matter. Where are we? Earth. Earth, he repeats. A planet similar to Toril. Facts, you think. You know that Gale likes facts. They will give him comfort, just as they are your lifeboat when you're drowning in a sea of emotions. So you scour your broken mind for facts and information. You can do that. It is second nature to you. We're in a galaxy called the Milky Way. Your voice levels. Our solar system has 8 planets. Only Earth can sustain life. He nods. I see. His brow knits. But answer me this. Is there no magic here? Can't channel the weave. Can't feel any trace of it. His sorrow is palpable. Gale without magic. You can almost feel the sense of loss. You're right. There is no magic. You bite your lip. I guess our closest thing to magic would be technology. Technology. You struggle for explanations. There's too much to cover, too many details. You need to see it to understand it. He scratches his beard. You can hear its bristles. It's an uncanny feeling after so long at looking at images of him, imagining him. He holds your gaze. You turn away. Is there anything else on Toril which Earth lacks? You're not sure where to start. Other races, for one. There's only humans and animals. His eyes widen again. No elves? Gnomes? Dwarves? You shake your head. No tieflings, devils, cambions, no dragonborn, nothing but humans. You glance at the home robot that starts with an A that I'm not going to say out loud lest she start talking. Glowing on your kitchen counter. There may eventually be a race of sentient machines, artificial intelligence, but that's a discussion for another time. Sentient machines, he raises an eyebrow. Intriguing. It is indeed intriguing. It's one of your favorite topics of conversation, which bores Caden almost to tears. But it is breaking your mind to have Gale of Waterdeep share your fascination. You try and refocus on information, stale and true. And gods? He asks. What gods are there in this universe? In spite of yourself, you laugh. That depends on who you ask, Gale. He smiles wryly. I'm asking you. You feel yourself blushing at that most quintessential expression. To see it in the flesh and not on a screen or in your mind's eye, it's bewildering. I'll try to be as objective as possible in my answer then. There are thousands of religions. A lot of humans worship a god, or gods. Ah, so not so different than Toril. I suppose not, but the evidence of divine activity here is, I would say, non-existent. As I say, it depends on who you ask. He sighs. A world without gods. What a marvel. A cluster of pinpricks has begun to gather at your temples. You close your eyes and try to knead away the migraine that's forming. How are you so calm about all this? my dearest, he chuckles. We know much about the multiverse. The fact of it doesn't shock me. It's simply a matter of understanding the rules that apply in this one. So, you aren't wondering why you're here? Worrying about how you're going to get back to Faerun? Or how you're going to survive here? He leans forward. His hand hovers over yours for a moment, uncertain. When he takes hold of it, your breath catches. I've been looking for you, Tav. He jerks his head. Sorry, Mia. You know you should, but you don't pull your hand away. His touch feels familiar, like you felt it a million times before. It's madness, but you cannot stop yourself. You disappeared 2 weeks ago. You were in our home in Waterdeep, and then you were gone. I knew you never would have left me like that, without a word, without so much as a goodbye. And we were happy. So happy. There's such affection when it is every word, is every gesture. It's overwhelming. I knew you hadn't left. Someone must have taken you. We made many enemies after all. Nine Fingers said there were hits on you, or I thought perhaps some Cambion or devil had come for you after the whole business with Raphael. He's becoming more frantic. I searched everywhere for you. I called on all my contacts. I wrote to all our friends. No one had seen you. Tried using magic to trace you, but to no avail. You were just gone. His other hand clasps your shoulder. Then a portal appeared in our bedroom. I felt something surge through me. It's most odd. It was like I could hear your voice, your soul calling out to me from the depths. I knew, in an indescribable, transcendent way, that you were on the other side of that portal. So I leapt through it. He cups your cheek. There's tears brimming in his eyes. Now I found you. And I can bring you home. It's chapter 1. What do we think so far? Dang, indeed. Emotional, yeah. We're gonna hit the ups and the downs, but it is very, very good. 16 chapters, by the way. 16 chapters. A little much at the moment. Yeah. Definitely, for sure. I got you. I got you. I think what I'm gonna do, because I think a lot of people are like hard lurking, I'm gonna save more of this for next week. And I'm gonna get into some Palea for right now. And when I see some folks come back that I've picked out some readings for, I will swap to those. And we'll just keep going back and forth between Palea and some more reading. I need to find a good bookmark. Screen caps. The Even Star necklace. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. There's an accessories mod. You can't find it by looking for Even Star. It's called something else. But it's got a camp version and an armor version. that glows, and that doesn't. So there's 4 of them total. The only problem is that with some of the outfits I like to wear, some of the dresses, it clips. So I don't wear it all the time. I'm actually playing my dirge right now. So if you ever see the screenshots pop up of a lady, a tiefling that's all in blue with like white swirling eyes, that's the character I'm playing through right now. And I've got her in a dress that has a necklace already, so that's why I'm not wearing it. Let me pull up a picture of her. And then we're gonna get into Palea, friendos. Fridays are usually quieter. People are getting off work early and then hopping to their weekend activities. So that's why I was hoping to start earlier to catch more people when they were here. But that is a-okay. Because we are still chilling. Let's see. It depends. Average is usually around 20 to 25, but it's, you know, anywhere from like 3 to 15 people talking at once, depending on who is here, what day of the week it is, who's work lurking, and who's working from home.